It's been 28 years, but JonBenet Ramsey's brother has finally broken his silence, leaving the world in shock. JonBenet Patricia Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990, in Atlanta, Georgia, into a family that would soon become the focus of one of America's most tragic and widely publicized criminal investigations. Her parents, Patsy and John Ramsey, were well-established figures. John was a successful businessman and president of Access Graphics, a multi-million-dollar computer services company, while Patsy, a former Miss West Virginia in 1977, had a background in pageantry. Their combined social status and affluence provided JonBenet with a privileged upbringing. She wasn't an only child. She had an older brother, Burke Ramsey, who was 3 years her senior, and two adult half-siblings from her father's previous marriage. The Ramsey family resided in Boulder, Colorado, enjoying the comforts of a large, upscale home in a safe, affluent neighborhood. JonBenet's childhood was marked by her parents' doting attention and a lifestyle of luxury, warmth, and affection. She was a bright, outgoing child with natural charm and a vivacious personality, thriving in social situations and loving being the center of attention. Her infectious smile and signature bouncy blonde hair made her easily recognizable. By age 6, JonBenet had achieved notable success in child beauty pageants, winning multiple titles that showcased her charisma and poise. The pageant circuit was a significant part of her life, where she truly shined in elaborate costumes and sparkling outfits. Beyond pageants, JonBenet was a kindergartner at High Peaks Elementary School in Boulder, enjoying the innocence and curiosity typical of a child her age. This idyllic childhood, however, came to a horrifying end on December 26, 1996. On that cold winter morning, Patsy Ramsey discovered a chilling, 3-page handwritten ransom note on the kitchen staircase, demanding exactly $118,000, an amount suspiciously close to John Ramsey's reported year-end bonus for JonBenet's safe return. It was only then that Patsy realized her daughter was missing, immediately contacting the police. This discovery initiated a frantic investigation. Tragically, later that same afternoon, the nightmare deepened when John Ramsey found JonBenet's lifeless body hidden in their basement. She had suffered severe trauma, including a fractured skull, and had been brutally assaulted and sexually assaulted, then strangled with a garrote fashioned from a cord and a broken paintbrush handle belonging to her mother. Despite the sexual assault, forensic experts found no conclusive evidence of rape. The official medical cause of death was determined to be asphyxia by strangulation associated with craniocerebral trauma, confirming homicide. Following these tragic events, JonBenet was laid to rest at St. James Episcopal Cemetery in Marietta, Georgia, next to her elder half-sister, Elizabeth Pask Ramsey, who had tragically died in a car crash 4 years prior at age 22. This family graveyard became a poignant reminder of the Ramsey family's deep sorrow. The investigation into JonBenet Ramsey's tragic death was plagued by numerous critical mistakes from the outset, severely compromising evidence integrity and case progress. Initially, police presumed a kidnapping rather than an in-home violent crime, leading to poor scene management. Crucially, only JonBenet's bedroom was cordoned off, allowing family members and others to move freely throughout the house, potentially contaminating and tampering with crucial forensic traces. This lack of crime scene control is often cited as a significant error. Furthermore, John and Patsy Ramsey were permitted to move JonBenet's body from the basement before forensic experts could document the scene and collect evidence, destroying important details about how and where she was killed. Adding to the flawed procedures, the parents were interviewed together instead of separately, violating standard protocol for individuals of interest to avoid coordinated stories. This joint questioning likely affected the veracity of their testimonies. The infamous ransom note further complicated the case. Its unusual length, approximately 2.5 pages, was atypical for a hurried demand, and the paper belonged to the Ramsey household, raising suspicions of fabrication or staging by an insider. Linguistic and handwriting experts debated its authenticity. The note's meticulousness contrasted sharply with the urgency expected from a genuine kidnapper. Forensic analysis also revealed that fibers from the duct tape used to bind JonBenet's body matched fibers on Patsy Ramsey's clothing, suggesting a possible link between the family and the restraint. Despite these troubling signs, there were no indications of forced entry into the Ramsey home, and no one outside the immediate family was reported to be in the house during the early morning hours. This cast further suspicion on the family, as it seemed improbable a stranger could have entered and left unnoticed. Compounding this, no actual ransom contact was ever made, highly unusual in genuine kidnapping cases, suggesting the note might have been a deliberate attempt to mislead investigators, although several circumstantial indicators pointed towards John and Patsy Ramsey as potential suspects. Law enforcement and forensic scientists couldn't conclusively link them to the crime. In 1998, the district attorney announced that DNA testing on samples from the crime scene did not implicate any immediate family members, shifting focus away from the Ramseys but offering no clear alternative suspect despite widespread media scrutiny and public suspicion. The Boulder County grand jury voted to indict the parents, but then District Attorney Alex Hunter decided against pressing charges in December 1999, citing insufficient evidence. This decision sparked intense debate. Years later, in 2003, advances in DNA technology led to a breakthrough. DNA samples from JonBenet's clothing and the crime scene matched an unknown male, unrelated to the family or any known suspect. Following this revelation, the Boulder Police Department publicly apologized to John and Patsy Ramsey, effectively clearing their names. Feeling vindicated but deeply affected, the Ramseys filed defamation lawsuits against media organizations that had alleged their involvement. It has been nearly 3 decades since the tragic and mysterious death of 6-year-old beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey captivated the nation, becoming one of America's most haunting unresolved cases. For 28 long years, the world has speculated and searched for answers as a shadow of doubt loomed over the investigation, media coverage, and especially the Ramsey family. Now, in a revelation that has stunned millions, JonBenet's older brother, Burke Ramsey, has finally broken his long-held silence, stepping out of the shroud of mystery that has surrounded him since that fateful Christmas night in 1996. His unexpected decision to speak publicly has triggered a wave of renewed attention and emotional reflection. Burke, just 9 years old at the time of his sister's murder, has spent most of his life in seclusion, avoiding the press and refusing to directly confront the swirling allegations and public speculation that often centered around him, despite no formal charges ever being filed against him or any other family member. This silence only intensified the intrigue and fed conspiracy theories. Now a grown man in his late 30s, Burke's decision to come forward is not only courageous but deeply emotional as he revisits the trauma of losing a sister and enduring decades of suspicion and media scrutiny. In his interview, Burke opened up about the psychological toll the tragedy took on him, how it altered his entire life, and the complexities of growing up in the public eye under a cloud of suspicion. He spoke about the deep pain of losing JonBenet, describing her as a vibrant, joyful little girl who brought light and laughter to their home. His account paints a picture of a shattered childhood, marked by grief and the heavy burden of unwanted fame and constant judgment. What shocked the world most was Burke's candid perspective on the investigation and how law enforcement and the media handled the case. He criticized the mishandling of evidence, the decision to allow his parents to speak jointly with police, and the failure to properly secure the crime scene. Burke also addressed the infamous ransom note, expressing his own confusion and frustration that its origins remain unknown. He voiced support for advanced DNA testing methods, urging law enforcement to re-examine every shred of remaining evidence using today's technology. He made it clear that he wants justice for his sister, not just to clear his own name, but to bring resolution to a case that has tormented his family and the public for nearly 3 decades. Perhaps most surprising was Burke's expression of compassion toward his late parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, who were often painted negatively. He defended their actions in the aftermath of the crime, explaining they were operating under immense emotional distress, simultaneously devastated by their daughter's loss and accused of her death. Burke's comments offered a rare glimpse into the Ramsey family's internal struggles, revealing the intense fear, isolation, and mistrust they endured during one of the most invasive media frenzies of the 1990s. Burke's decision to speak has reignited widespread interest in the case, prompting public outcry and calls for renewed investigations using modern forensic technology, including advanced DNA testing. True crime communities, legal experts, and former investigators are dissecting his statements, hoping for new clues or insights that could finally lead to the truth about what happened that chilling night in Boulder, Colorado. His long-awaited voice in this mystery doesn't necessarily solve the case, but it has added a powerful, deeply human layer to a story often reduced to tabloid headlines and sensational theories. After 28 years of silence, the world is now listening, more closely than ever before, not just for answers, but for understanding, closure, and perhaps, at long last, justice for JonBenet Ramsey,